I need to tell you something that most doctors never say out loud. In over 30 years working inside operating rooms and rehabilitation wards, I watched thousands of seniors lose their independence. And almost every single time, it didn't start with a big fall or a sudden accident. It started quietly, silently, in bed, before they even stood up. That's what I'm going to talk about today. And I promise you, by the time you finish watching, you will never start your morning the same way again. Here's what nobody is telling you. The moment your body begins breaking down, the moment your balance starts slipping and your legs start feeling unreliable, that moment is not happening during a walk or during exercise. It's happening in the seconds before your feet even touch the floor. And the reason why is something most people have completely backwards. People think stretching is enough. And I understand why. Stretching feels good. It seems logical. But here's the truth I wish someone had told my patients earlier. Stretching lengthens a muscle. It does not turn it on. And there is a massive difference between a muscle that is long and a muscle that is actually working, switched on, ready to protect your joints and hold your body upright. What your body actually needs in the morning is activation. Think of it like this. Imagine trying to drive a car that's been sitting outside in the freezing cold all night. You can open all the doors you want, but until you warm up the engine, that car is dangerous to drive. Your muscles are the engine. And every morning, after hours of lying still, they are cold, disconnected, and slow to respond. In my clinical work, seniors who did even simple activation movements before standing showed dramatically better coordination and stability than those who only stretched or did nothing at all. We're not talking about intense workouts. We're talking about gentle, controlled movements done right there in bed before you ever put weight on your legs. Movements that restart circulation, reconnect your brain to your muscles, and protect your joints before they're asked to hold your entire body weight. Today, I'm going to rank 5 of these exercises from least impactful to most powerful. And I want you to stay with me until at least number 2, because that one specifically could change how steady you feel the very next morning you try it. I am not exaggerating when I say that. But first, tell me in the comments. How old are you, and where are you watching from? I genuinely read your responses, and I'd love to know who is in this community. Let's get into it. Starting with number 5. Number 5. Ankle pumps and circles. I know what you're thinking. Ankle pumps? Really? Bear with me for just a moment, because the reason surgeons prescribe this to every single hip and knee replacement patient is not a coincidence. There is a very serious medical reason behind it. When you're lying in bed, especially for 7 or 8 hours, blood begins to pool in your lower legs. Your calf muscles, which normally act like a second heart by squeezing blood back upward, are doing absolutely nothing. That pooled blood thickens. It slows. And in adults over 75, that creates a very real risk of blood clots forming in the deep veins of the leg. These clots can travel to your lungs. And when they do, the result can be fatal. A study published in the journal Thrombosis Research found that adults over 75 who spent more than 8 hours in bed without activating their lower legs had a 260% higher risk of developing one of these dangerous clots. 260%. That's not a small number. Ankle pumps fix this by forcing your calf muscles to contract, pushing blood back toward your heart before you even sit up. Here's how to do them properly. Lie flat on your back with your legs out straight. Point your toes down toward the foot of the bed as far as they'll go. Hold 2 seconds. Then pull your toes back toward your shins as far as they'll go. Hold 2 seconds. That's 1 pump. Do 10. Then slowly rotate each ankle in 10 circles clockwise, 10 counterclockwise. The key that most people miss is to go slowly. When you rush this, you only move your foot. When you slow it down and push through the full range of motion, you activate not just your calf, but the smaller stabilizing muscles around the ankle joint. And a study from the American Academy of Orthopedic Surgeons found those small stabilizers are responsible for nearly 60% of your balance control when you're standing. They're also among the very first muscles to decline after 75. 3 sets every morning, before your feet touch the floor. Simple, fast, and more important than most people ever realize. Now let's move to number 4. This one is specifically for anyone whose knees ache, crack, or feel stiff first thing in the morning. Number 4. Supine Heel Slides. Over 54 million Americans have osteoarthritis. The numbers are highest in adults over 75, and the most common complaint I hear from those patients is this: "Doctor, my knees are the worst in the morning." Why is that? Here's why. Inside your knee joint there is a fluid called synovial fluid. It acts like oil in an engine, lubricating the surfaces and absorbing shock. But when you're lying still for hours, that fluid becomes thick and sluggish. The joint surfaces get stiff, and the first movement of the morning feels like grinding metal. Heel slides move your knee through its full range of motion, while your leg is completely supported by the bed. No body weight, no joint compression, just smooth, gentle movement that pumps fresh synovial fluid through the joint and warms it up safely. A study in the Journal of Orthopedic and Sports Physical Therapy found that patients over 70 who did heel slides daily for just 12 weeks had 35% better knee function and significantly less pain during daily activities. Here's how to do them. Lie on your back with both legs straight. Slowly slide your right heel along the mattress toward your body, bending your knee as far as you comfortably can. Hold for 3 seconds. Then slowly slide it back out. That slow return is critical. It builds eccentric strength in your quadricep, which is the exact type of control your legs need when going downstairs or lowering into a chair. 12 repetitions each leg. 2 sets. Keep your kneecap pointing straight to the ceiling the whole time. The moment it drifts sideways, you're loading the cartilage unevenly, and that uneven loading over time is what accelerates the damage. This takes less than 3 minutes, and for your knees, it makes a world of difference. Coming up at number 3, we target a muscle group that most people over 75 almost never train directly. And the research on what happens when it gets weak will genuinely shock you. Number 3. Supine Marching. Let me give you one statistic, and I want it to really land. A landmark study in the Journal of the American Geriatric Society followed over 2,000 adults aged 75 and older. Researchers measured dozens of health factors: leg strength, cardiovascular health, balance scores, and they wanted to find out which single factor best predicted who would fall. The answer was hip flexor weakness, not general leg strength, not balance, hip flexor weakness specifically. It was the strongest predictor of future falls, they found. Your hip flexors are the muscles that lift your leg when you take a step. When they weaken, you stop stepping and start shuffling. Your feet barely clear the ground. And suddenly, a small rug, a slightly uneven sidewalk, or a single unexpected step becomes genuinely dangerous. Supine marching directly targets these muscles while your back is completely protected by the mattress. Lie on your back, knees bent, feet flat on the bed. Put both hands on your lower belly. Tighten as you move. Now slowly lift your right knee toward your chest, as high as you comfortably can, while pressing your lower back firmly into the mattress. This is the detail that matters most. If your lower back arches up as you lift your knee, your hip flexor is pulling on your spine and your core is doing nothing. Keep that back flat. Hold at the top for 2 seconds. Lower slowly. Switch sides. That's 1 rep. Work up to 15 repetitions each side, 2 sets. Researchers at the University of Pittsburgh found that seniors who did controlled hip flexion exercises like this for just 8 weeks improved their walking speed by 22% and reduced their fall risk by nearly 40%. 8 weeks. That's how fast your body can begin to respond when you give it the right input. Get ready for number 2, because this next exercise is building the kind of leg strength that directly determines whether you can live independently. The research behind this one stopped me in my tracks when I first read it. Number 2, straight leg raises. Your quadriceps are the large muscles on the front of your thighs. They straighten your knee. They hold your body weight when you stand. They control your body when you lower yourself into a chair, onto a toilet, down a step. Without strong quadriceps, nearly every basic daily movement becomes a struggle or a risk. Here's the part that most people don't know. After the age of 70, you lose quadricep strength at roughly 3 to 5% per year if you're not actively working against that decline. A study in the journal Age and Aging found that adults with weak quadriceps were 3 times more likely to need help with basic daily tasks and 5 times more likely to need a mobility device within just 2 years. 5 times more likely. In 2 years. Straight leg raises rebuild this strength with zero stress on the knee joint, which is why they are a cornerstone of virtually every orthopedic rehab program in the world. Lie on your back, one knee bent with that foot flat on the bed, the other leg completely straight. Squeeze the quadricep on your straight leg by pressing the back of your knee down into the mattress. Then slowly raise that entire straight leg until it reaches about 45 degrees. Hold for 3 to 5 seconds. Feel the burn in the front of your thigh. That burn is the muscle under real load. Then lower slowly, taking at least 3 full seconds to come back down. Do not let it drop. That controlled lowering is where significant strength is built. Research from McMaster University found that this lowering phase, called eccentric contraction, produces greater strength gains in older adults than the lifting phase does. 10 repetitions each leg. 3 sets. As you get stronger over the following weeks, extend the hold to 8 seconds, or add a 1-pound ankle weight. The progression is what keeps the exercise working long-term. A 6-month trial found that seniors who progressed their straight leg raises saw a 47% increase in quadricep strength and were 61% less likely to experience a fall-related injury compared to those who only stretched. 61%. And now, number 1, the single most important exercise in this entire list. The one that geriatric specialists, orthopedic surgeons, and physical therapists all point to when asked what they would keep if they could only keep one. I think the results are going to genuinely surprise you. Number 1. Glute bridges. If you have ever wondered why so many older adults develop that forward hunched posture, that shuffling walk, that sense of being slightly off balance all the time, the answer is almost always the same. The posterior chain has collapsed. Your posterior chain is everything along the back of your body, your glutes, your hamstrings, your lower back. These muscles are what keep you upright. They keep your pelvis level. They support your spine's natural curve. They stabilize every single step you take. And when they weaken, your whole structure begins to tilt forward. Your center of gravity shifts. And falling becomes not just possible, but almost inevitable. A major clinical trial published in The Lancet, which is one of the most prestigious medical journals in the world, tracked over 3,000 adults aged 75 and older. Researchers found that posterior chain weakness was the number 1 modifiable risk factor for both falls and loss of independent living. Not heart health, not overall leg strength, posterior chain weakness specifically. Now here's the part that makes this even more urgent. Research from the University of Southern California found that the average person over 75 spends more than 10 hours a day sitting or lying down. And during all of that time, the glute muscles are essentially switched off completely. Scientists actually have a term for this. They call it gluteal amnesia. Your brain gradually loses its ability to recruit and activate those muscles because they have been dormant for so long. The glute bridge is the most powerful way to reverse that amnesia and wake those muscles back up even if they haven't been properly activated in years. Here is how to do it correctly. And I want to be specific here, because most people do this exercise in a way that mostly works their hamstrings and lower back, and the glutes barely fire at all. Lie on your back, knees bent, feet flat on the bed about hip-width apart and close enough to your body that you could almost touch your heels with your fingertips. Before you lift anything, squeeze your glutes together as hard as you can. Think of it like you're trying to hold something between them. This pre-squeeze is not optional. It is the step that tells your brain to recruit the glute muscles first instead of defaulting to your back and hamstrings. Once you feel that squeeze, press through your heels, not the balls of your feet, your heels, and slowly drive your hips up until your body forms a straight line from your shoulders to your knees. Hold the top position for 5 full seconds. Keep squeezing. Keep breathing. A lot of people hold their breath during this exercise, and that can spike blood pressure. So, breathe normally. Then, lower yourself slowly over 4 seconds. And just before your hips touch the bed, drive right back up without resting at the bottom. That continuous tension, never fully resting between reps, was found by researchers at the University of Queensland to be 40% more effective at activating the gluteus maximus compared to resting between each repetition. 10 repetitions. 3 sets. 45 seconds of rest between sets. And the results from doing this consistently are almost hard to believe until you see them. The same Lancet study found that participants who performed glute bridges 5 days a week for 6 months had a 58% reduction in fall risk, a 44% improvement in walking endurance, and a 71% reduction in the likelihood of moving from independent living to assisted care. 71%. That is not a small improvement in a lab. That is the difference between living your life on your own terms and losing that freedom. So let's pull this all together. 5 exercises. Ankle pumps and circles to restart circulation and protect your balance. Heel slides to warm up your knee joints and build quad control. Supine marching to strengthen the hip flexors that prevent shuffling and tripping. Straight leg raises to rebuild the quadricep strength that holds your entire body upright. And glute bridges to reawaken the posterior chain that keeps you stable, upright, and living independently. The whole routine takes less than 15 minutes. You don't need equipment. You don't need a gym. You don't need to push through pain or get on the floor. You just need your bed, your body, and the decision to do this tomorrow morning before your feet touch the floor. Start with whatever you can manage. Even 5 repetitions of each exercise on your first day is a win. Because the most important step is simply beginning. And what I can promise you from over 3 decades of watching people recover and watching people decline is that the ones who kept moving, even in small ways, even in bed before the day started, those are the ones who kept their independence the longest. Your body responds faster than you think. Within a few weeks, you'll feel it. Getting up will feel smoother. Walking will feel steadier. And things that used to wipe you out will start to feel manageable again. You've already done something important just by watching this far. Now take the next step and start tomorrow morning. If this was helpful, subscribe so you don't miss what's coming next, and drop your age and country in the comments. I genuinely love hearing from this community. Thank you for being her.